Apologies in advance, because this video is going to be the spookiest video that this channel has ever seen. It's spooky season, which means we have to make a spooky video. It's the best season of all of the seasons, and today we're going to be making little ghost candlestick holders and a ghost incense diffuser, because I'm a ghost, you're a ghost, everyone is spooky. It's time for spooky ceramics. We're going to start with the spookiest thing of all, some drawings. First of all, I want to make a little ghost thing like this. Maybe we'll make it angry. And I have these little incense cones that when you light them, they make smoke come out. And they smell really nice. And anyway, we want the smoke to kind of come out of the eyes and the mouth. So we'll be cutting holes. And this needs to maybe go in a little dish. So we'll make a little dish too, like that. And then secondarily, this is so silly, but I want to make a little ghost candlestick holder. Similar vibe, but in here, a candlestick. And that will also have a little ghosty face. I think I might need to practice my spooky ghosts. That's quite scary. Oh, it's almost too scary. I don't think I can handle it. That looks like quite a worried ghost. This one looks like it's smelly. It won't be smelly, it's just incense, okay? Maybe a menacing ghost is what I'm after. I like that guy. I like this guy too. Anyway, we'll see what happens. This project is appropriate for anyone of any age. You just have to have a spooky soul. You can also do it with air dry clay. You don't have to use ceramic clay. You can paint it in white, or you can paint it in like a clear varnish, or maybe you just don't paint it at all. It's up to you. It doesn't matter. You have to be ready to lean into being quite scared, because that's truly terrifying. I want to use white clay for this project. I have to go quite far back in my clay shelves to find the appropriate clay. The scariest thing of all is that because I don't have the stoneware that I want, I'm going to have to use porcelain. We're going to need clay, rolling pin. These molds, which are just pinch pots that are bisque bited. If you don't have these, you can find like a bowl or something like that that kind of feels an appropriate shape for a ghost. A knife and a pin tool. Some water and some sponge will be used later on as well. Just be ready for that. Be ready for anything. Spooky wooden stakes. Guides that I'm going to use to roll my clay out flat. You don't have to use these. If you've got them, that's great. Otherwise, you just need to kind of keep an eye on how thick or how thin your slab is getting. It's double bagged. The trick when rolling slabs is to start it off with your hand rather than just going straight in onto a lump of clay with a rolling pin. It makes it way easier. Perfect. Okay, so the idea is that I'm going to drape this clay over this mold, and I'm going to want to prop this mold up with something so that I can drape it slightly further down than it's going to allow. I have some kiln props that will kind of do the trick. Okay, we have our slab and we have our molds. We could trim some of this off. That's just slightly too much clay for what we need. I'm going to eyeball this. You could create a little stencil if you wanted to. And then I'm just going to coax the clay around the mold, and I'm not going to push it down too much because I kind of like that it's ruffled, like me, a ghost. That's a pretty cute ghost. The clay might be too wet to do this, but I'm going to attempt to take it off so I can make another one as well. Nice. As a ghost, I haven't felt this happy for about 7,000 years. I'm a pretty old ghost. But this little guy is making me pretty happy. Let's leave that to dry for a little bit while I make another one. I'm gonna make a couple more of these and I'll see you back here in a bit. Bodies of the ghosts are now done. They just need to dry a little bit before we can cut their little faces in. For the ones that are going to be incense holders, I need to make some little plates for them. And the plates are just going to be a flat piece of porcelain, and I'm going to pinch the sides up just a little bit. I just need to measure the bases of each ghost so that I can make a slightly wider plate for each one. And then I'm going to have lunch because I'm a hungry ghost, and it's kind of a good time to let these dry a little bit while I have a little munch. Contrary to popular belief, ghosts actually do eat. I'm so hungry. Weirdly, a feature of my videos is me talking about my lunch. So, you know, ghost me. Same girl. Excellent. We're back. It's time to look at these and decide which ghost is going to have which face. Let's actually quickly talk about these. So we've got these guys live on these things. This one is so cute. I think that this one will be the perfect size for my little incense cones. These ones, maybe we could put a tea light candle in them. This is so silly. I can't remember the voice I was doing earlier. These ones I've accounted for some shrinkage for the candles. This is a particularly small candle that I have. Obviously that doesn't quite fit. However, they will fit some kind of candle and they will shrink and they will hold them. Ooh, would you look at that? That one kind of fits. These two I feel like are my siblings or something. They're gonna have little faces put in. I just have to find the flattest area for the faces. So it could be this bit on this one. The back of it is a little bit too ruffled. And these ones we're gonna draw the faces on so they can go aside for a second. Get out of here. Trace a face on each one before I get started. And then after I've put the faces on, we're going to clean them all up because, please focus. You can see that the porcelain is cracking a little bit. It's not cracking, but it needs a sponge down. So those areas are going to get a sponge down after I've cut the faces in. So I'm going to trace out on this one the face that I want. You can use a pen tool for this, or you can use like a pencil or something. This is a wooden stick which works quite well for tracing in things that I can't quite visualize. We're gonna go for like a happy happy, angry ghost. I want them all to be a little happy and a little bit all malevolent, you know? Like me, I'm a malevolent ghost. We all know this. I have a hole punch that I'm going to use for the eyes. Perfect. I'm going to cut this out with my knife tool. He looks so angry. Perfect. Once the leather hard like this, it's really easy to do the cutting. You have to be very careful though, you don't want it to crack kind of beneath your hand. The little one is quite thick, so it was easier to do, but these ones are a little bit more difficult. I honestly love it with just eyes, but I kind of want this one to be a tea light holder now. And as we can see, I feel like there's not enough light. I also feel like the possibility of it extinguishing the flame of the candle is quite high, so maybe it needs a mouth. I'm going to cut some holes in it like this, and then I'll connect the holes with my knife tool. Scary. Stunning. I love it. Honestly, now that we've got two angry ones, I kind of just want this one to be happy. So I'm going to remove the eyebrows. Not all ghosts are angry, you know, a lot of them are just poltergeists, they're silly little dudes. And I really think that this one is a silly guy. Again, I think this one is perfect as a tea light holder. Stunning. I'm very happy with how these look. They look just like how I know my brothers and sisters to look like. I am surprisingly the most humanoid of all the ghosts. Ghosts really mostly look like this guy, and also like this guy. This is a really common looking ghost, you know, that just angry kind of attitude. Gonna move on to sponging these, and we're also gonna sponge the candlestick ones, and then we'll draw faces on the candlestick ones once they're a little bit more cleaned up. What do you think, bud? To clean these guys up, I have some sponges and I have a bowl of water, and I'm just gonna go really gently. If you're using porcelain, then you need to note that a little bit of water goes a really long way. Actually, any clay that applies, a little bit of water goes a really long way. If you've got lots of pinch marks that you kind of want to get rid of, you can use a scoring tool if you have one, and you can just kind of score those slightly rougher areas, and then you can sponge it down. This is just optional, you don't have to do that. It's just if you're struggling to get rid of some of those pinch marks. The smoothing that I'm going to do on the ghosts themselves, my brothers and sisters, maybe one of them's my wife. I think it would be this one, this happy little one. We have a happy marriage, it's long lasting, eternity. I just want to be clear, if I'm saying wife, then what, another one is my sister, you know. It's not an ancestral ghost marriage. Anyway, the way that I'm doing this is I'm very lightly just going in over the little ruffles of the skirt, just smoothing down any rougher patches. I'm going to go over the surface of the ghost as well. Some areas you might need to trim down with your knife tool, kind of like too overlapped or something, and it wouldn't really work if I were to sponge it. So you just want to trim some of that off if you can before sponging it down. Okay, so the surfaces of the ghosts, again, very little water. Obviously you need a little bit, but as little as you can. You really want to wring it out. That way the clay stays at leather hard and it doesn't kind of go soggy and like squashy. If it goes too squashy, then it can kind of just slump over. And obviously these shapes are already quite slumped. It's the nature of a ghost. I have a little sponge on a stick here that's a funny shape. It's like a diamond shape. And if you don't have one of these, you can cut down a normal sponge and get it to whatever size you want. But I'm just gonna go in these ruffles that are harder to get with the round sponge. And I'm kind of just lightly brushing it. If you're working with porcelain especially, you wanna kind of do this really minimally. If the clay is feeling too wet, you should wait until it's dried a little bit before you do this, otherwise it's going to go out of shape as you handle it. And like anything, I'm supporting the inside of the forms. I'm going to leave this one at that, and I'll let it dry on its little dish. This is possibly the best thing I've ever made, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm 7,000 years old, so I've made some things in my time. For the candlesticks, I've sponged them down, and I've decided I actually want to draw on the faces with ceramic pencil, which is done at the bisqueware stage. So to give the satisfaction of what it kind of will look like, I've used a felt tip pen on this one. As you can see, it looks amazing. A beautiful little ghost. This one's kind of more a traditional ghost compared to all of the other ones. For candlesticks, I tend to cut a hole through the middle so that if the candle melts all the way down to here, you can actually get the wax out by kind of pushing up through the base of the candlestick. So that's just a little tip for you, a ghosty tip. Okay, we're done. My ghost family has been immortalized in clay. Even though we're already immortal because we're ghosts and we live forever, we're dead forever. I can't keep up with the ghosty story. They haven't been fired yet, but if this was air dry clay, then we'd be done. And even though they haven't been fired, they're pretty much going to look exactly like this when they are fired. So we can see what they look like all done. These ones, of course, my brothers and sisters. This one may be my child. This one is my wife. I think you can say it makes a pretty good looking family, right? Thank you for joining me on today's journey as I summoned my oldest and dearest friends here to my studio that I haunt. It's been a joy. It's wonderful. Join me in a couple of weeks for another video. In the meantime, you can follow me on the other socials. See you soon. Happy Halloween.